Hello guys, this is Ron, and the lesson today is the most common mistakes when dealing with sellers. I have a list in front of me here, and I'm going to go down that list and discuss them each, and let's see how many of them we can get you to avoid. Number one is paying too much deposit when you're lease optioning a property from a seller, or paying too much down if you're buying it with owner financing, or basically just giving up too much cash right from the get-go. Remember that your profit comes from the front-end profit, comes from the difference between the amount of cash that you put out to the seller and the amount of cash that you get back from the buyer on a down payment if it's not an all-cash sale. So if I'm going to lease option a property from the seller, I don't really give them any money. And so now if I go get a $5,000 deposit, I made $5,000. But if I get crazy and go give the seller $5,000 and get a deposit for $5,000, I'm working for nothing on the front end. So be very, very careful, and it very well may be that you need to just not do deals where the seller wants too much down, either that or do axe deals. So you're going to have to decide, but be careful. Always try to get in light. That's the whole point of doing these transactions with with FSBOs. Number two is personally guaranteeing any kind of debt or lease. We do not do that. If you personally guarantee a lease, you're obligated for those payments. If you personally guarantee a note to a seller, you're obligated on that note. That puts yourself at risk. I'm trying to keep you away from risk. You do not personally guarantee the debt. If there's any one mistake you can make that would keep you awake at night, it would be that one. If you lose money, you can go get it back. But once you personally guarantee that debt, you risk three things. You risk your credit, you risk your assets, and you risk your marriage, none of which is worth risking just to go buy a house. Do it without guaranteeing debt. Number three is spending money on repairs on a house you don't own. We don't fix houses we don't own. So if you're lease optioning the property and the seller won't clean it up, then you probably ought to walk unless you think you can lease option it out as is. But we don't spend money on houses we don't own. Occasionally, very occasionally, we might have a little bit of cleanup done on them, but frankly, I don't even do that. Seller can't clean up the house, then they don't really want to sell their house, and it's probably best we go somewhere else. Number four is agreeing to make payments that are too high before verifying the market value. In other words, if you're taking over a debt, or you're doing a lease purchase, or you're doing owner financing or whatever, and you're agreeing to make a payment that cannot be covered by rent in a marketplace, then you're going to wind up with a negative cash flow, making a promise that you can't keep, and that's not going to be good. You're not going to like that. So be very careful about the payment you agree to make. Remember, all your monthly cash flow comes from the difference between what you pay out and what you bring in. And there has to be a good spread there. You really have no reason to stay in the deal unless you have a great big back end because you got a lot of equity in it. So be very careful about agreeing to make too big of a monthly payment. Spending too much time on small deals, number five. You got a choice. It takes the same amount of time to make $10,000 as it does to make $1,000. I know that if you need money really badly, the $1,000 looks good, but how many deals are you going to lose while spending all that time trying to get that $1,000? Number six is not pre-screening sellers properly. That's probably one of the biggest mistakes. I mean, it's not a huge mistake. You just waste a lot of time and effort on it, and I guess it's part of learning, because you will lose some deals because you didn't screen sellers properly. But most people actually spend too much time chasing dead ends because they don't take a little time to learn how to screen them properly. That's why we do the Quick Start School, and that's why you ought to be there, because that's one of the things we focus on the most while we're there. We screen real deals live in front of you while we buy them. Number seven is trying to deal with unmotivated sellers. Deal with the people who want to deal with you and whack the rest at lightning speed. That comes back to pre-screening. But gosh, I see so many people trying to chase deals they have no chance of buying. Look, they either want to lease purchase, or they want to sell it with owner financing, or they want to sell it to you at a discount. If they don't want to do any of those things, there's no reason for you to buy the property, so you might as well move on. Go pick more low-hanging fruit. Number eight is leasing houses that aren't suitable for fast sale because of some sort of inadequacy, located in a commercial area, or the area smells bad, or it's got industrial odors, or the house is functionally obsolete. Look, there's thousands and thousands of houses all around you. There's no reason for you to try to pick on something that you can't sell. If it's obvious to you the thing has got a problem, you might best just ignore it and move on to something that doesn't. And if it's got a problem to you, it's got a problem to your buyer. Just remember that. Number 9, agreeing to make payments on options. We don't make payments on options. If you're going to option the property, it means you're optioning it for price A and you're selling it for price B, and you do not make payments when you're optioning. So be careful that you don't make promises you can't keep, which is number 10. Don't make promises you can't keep. Be careful what comes out of your mouth. If somebody says, well, when will you get that loan paid off? You don't know. Don't tell them you know. The answer is I don't know. It'll get paid off when my tenant buyer cashes the property out. So be careful what comes out of your mouth. You don't make the promises, you don't have to keep the promises. You make them, then you're morally obligated to keep them. And number 11, and finally, is don't work with a short fuse. Negotiate plenty of time before your first payment or your first month's rent is due. Don't back yourself against the corner. I always get, if I'm taking over a debt subject to and the loan is current when I buy the property, I at least want a couple months before I have to start making payments. Anytime I'm offering seller financing, I get 3 months before the first payment is due. You just build it right into the offer. It's not really something that we negotiate much about. It's part of my offer. It's a condition of the purchase. And when I'm lease optioning, I'm never, if I'm staying in on a sandwich lease, I always want at least the month after I take possession of the property where I'm not making a payment, and I might agree to make one the month after that, but I always want plenty of time, at least a month or two, to find that tenant buyer that I would put in the house. So if you don't back yourself into a corner, then you're not always up against the wall making decisions based on chaos management because you didn't plan your exit strategy correctly going in. So that's 11. I hope you were taking notes. Go back, play the video back and take notes and write them down, and maybe I can stop you from making those mistakes. All right, see you on the next lesson.